When I was first getting started, I read a lot of books. In fact, I spent a ton of time in the library and I turned it into a makeshift office. It has free Wi-Fi, plenty of computers, and I just parked myself in the library reading as much as I could about entrepreneurships and startups. I've put together 15 of my favorite books on entrepreneurship. They really helped me in my startup journey and I hope they help you. I've broken them down into a number of different sections, and the first section is really on getting started and getting the fundamentals of your business. And you can't get the fundamentals without Lean Startup. Lean Startup is a fantastic book by Raiz. It really tells the story of a startup and helps you understand a lot of the fundamentals of staying lean and efficient as you grow your startup. It talks through the concepts of product market fit and provides a really good baseline for understanding how startups work. The second book on my list is The Hard Things About Hard Things by Ben Horowitz. And this is a great journey. It starts off talking about Ben's personal journey through startup land and growing a company from startup through the IPO process. And again, gives a really good primer on the struggle, the difficult things about building a company, and some perspective from someone who's done it in terms of what's hard and how to go through that process. A really great book and fundamental in the startup community. The next book on my list is Start With Why by SINEK. And I'm only sorry that I read this book so late in my personal startup journey. This should have been one of the very first books I read. Simon really outlines the principles of how you should think about the values and the reason why your business should exist. And it starts with that question: why should your business exist? It's a fantastic read. Simon has a great 5-minute TED Talk that you should check out if you're not quite sure if you want to read the book. It's a great read, really fundamental, and set my perspective in terms of what's important in business. Number 4 on my list is The Innovator's Dilemma. And this really talks about why innovation is so disruptive and how sometimes innovation within a large company can really transform that company and how sometimes it doesn't really transform that company. It's a really good perspective in terms of what shifts are happening in the marketplace and how you can think about innovation in a young, small company or within a large established company as well. A really good primer on innovation and how it can disrupt existing marketplaces. The next section of 5 books are really things that I think are helpful in that middle ground of operating a company. Once you've started a business, there's so much that you need to wrap your head around in terms of operating the business. And a great book to really set this foundation is called Crossing the Chasm. It really talks about the notion of startups and products having different stages, from early adopters, early majority, late majority, and really thinking about how those products mature and different decisions need to be made at different stages of growth for your business. A really good foundational text and really easy to read as well. The next book on my list isn't even really a business book. It's really a fundamental people book, and it helped me really frame how I thought about relationships, people, and conversations. It helped me listen more to my staff and the people I was working with, and that's How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. An absolutely phenomenal book. It's been around for many, many years, and it has so much really good advice on maintaining, managing, and improving your personal relationships. I highly recommend it for both business and for personal relationships as well. Next on my list is Screw Business as Usual by Richard Branson. Richard is quite the character. He is so unconventional and he looks at business and life in a very different lens. It's a great perspective for someone who's been there and grown a very successful company, and how he looks at convention and how things are typically done and turns them on their head. The next 2 books are really about metrics, and when you're growing a business, it's important that you think about the metrics that operate and run your business. A book I really enjoyed on metrics, it really talks about the notion that there is a whirlwind, this air of movement around your business that is really confusing and disrupting, and how it's important for you to have a wildly important goal, something that you really focus your entire team and your entire effort on to move the needle on your business. The other book on the topic of metrics that I found really valuable was Measure What Matters. This really goes into depth on objectives and key results. This is a really great concept. It's being used by lots of businesses, both large and small. I'm actually mentoring a Techstars class right now that's using OKRs extensively, and Measure What Matters is a great primer and a great introduction to that concept. So okay, we've gotten the fundamentals of business, we've talked a little bit about operations and some of those elements, but really when you get into it, it's a lot about the values and the people. So the next 4 books on my list are really about the people operations operations and how to get those elements functioning really well within a business. And Work Rules is a fantastic book on that topic. It's written by someone who was on the inside of Google's operation teams, and it shows examples of how Google thinks about its people business and people operations to provide the best benefits and the best people operations for hiring and attracting some of the best talent in the world. If you want to make your work organization awesome, it's a great look at how another company does that. So recently, a legend in the entrepreneurship community passed away. Tony Hsieh was the founder and CEO of Zappos. He instilled that company with a lot of his virtues and values, and he wrote a book about it called Delivering Happiness. It was really a great primer on values and vision and how you can embed those values and vision within the fabric of your organization. Tony was driven by customer centricity. He wanted to deliver joy and happiness through the products that he was building, and Zappos wasn't so much a shoe company as a customer service company. A really great book, and a moment of silence for Tony Hsieh. The next book I want to talk about is The Power of Moments. And the power of moments is the idea that you need to commemorate the journey of your business through multiple different ways. It's not just day in and day out. We celebrate birthdays and weddings and anniversaries and other key events in our lives with commemorative moments. And we need to do the same things in our business for our employees, for our clients and customers. When we mark those moments, we make it a journey. It's not just a destination. We mark those moments along the way. The fourth book on my list of people operations is really The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. This book is a really quick read. It's a fable, but it was really transformative for me to understand the nature of how people operate, how they establish trust, accountability, and other metrics to make progress in your business. A really fantastic read. It really transformed my relationship with my leadership team and allowed us to achieve things we may otherwise not have been able to achieve. A really great read. The last two books to really round out this list is really about negotiation. When you're running a business, there's so many times that you have to negotiate both internally with employees, prospects, clients, business deals, and so forth. And there's two books that I really found valuable in both negotiation and marketing. The first is Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion. And this teaches the fundamental principles of persuasion, of urgency, of recency, of scarcity, of reciprocity. These elements and understanding these psychological principles will help you understand how people are communicating to you and how your communication may be perceived by others. Really great from that perspective. The other book on this topic is Never Split the Difference. And Never Split the Difference is a negotiation book written by a former hostage negotiator. Also a really fun read in terms of understanding negotiation from its core principles and how to negotiate for the best outcome for everyone. Fantastic read and a lot of fun. So that's my list of 15. I've left descriptions and links in the description below, so check them out. And one more thing, reading is a continual process, bringing up new ideas, challenging some of those assumptions, and continuing to progress in your journey as well. These are 3 books that I'm currently reading. They happen to be from people who I've worked with in the past. This is How Design Makes the World by Scott Birkin. Scott was a mentor of mine at Microsoft and fantastic person. He's written a number of different books, but this one really talks through the depths of design and some of the history of design and how design really influences the world around us. This is The Hot Seat by Dan Shapiro. I also worked with Dan back at my days at Microsoft, and Dan is a serial entrepreneur. He started a number of companies. He's currently CEO of Glowforge, 3D scanning, printing, I don't even know how to describe it. It's a really cool device. Check it out. But Dan is a serial entrepreneur, launched multiple companies, had a ton of success on Kickstarter, and it's a great story on negotiation, raising capital, and entrepreneurship. Along those lines, another book from a serial entrepreneur, Dave Balter, who I interacted and worked with when he was at BuzzAgent, wrote The Humility Imperative, and this is a number of collections and stories of his journey on entrepreneurship. Dave is a prolific serial entrepreneur, tons of success through lots of different businesses and raising capital. It's a really great look at running businesses and scaling them over and over and over again. If you're interested in serial entrepreneurship, those last 2 books are really great primers on that as well. That's it for this time. I'm Greg Raiz. Till the next one.